Vermont's utility outlook will be valid the rest of today, Saturday, through next Friday, the September the 4th. And we're looking at warmer, increasingly more humid conditions. This will be raising heat indices through next week. Thunderstorm threats are primarily across northern areas on Monday, very isolated and really right along the northern tier. But more likely, we'll see some widely scattered afternoon shower and thunderstorm activity Wednesday into next Friday and possibly beyond, though just lightning concerns are indicated with slow steering winds, mostly pop-up popcorn-type thunderstorms. Good project weather is expected the rest of today, Saturday, and into Sunday. The exception for Sunday will be the northern tier areas. We'll be on the edge of some brief showers rolling across through parts of southern Canada right along the Quebec-Vermont border. Expect an extension to midsummer-like conditions. The tropics look active, but no threat to the northeast yet. We're looking at current conditions here. You can also see the latest track with Erica, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. We have fairly good weather, a lot of clear skies, or mostly clear skies, a little bit of haze and some elevated smoke layers from some of the fire activity that's been out in Washington has finally made it into the northeast United States. However, we're looking at very good conditions. Looking at water vapor imagery showing where the most of the moisture is working up in some of the flows right now. We have an area of higher pressure here, and a lot of that moisture is going to stay to our north. A lot of thunderstorm activity this morning across parts of Illinois and into northern Indiana and the eastern and southern Great Lakes. This is going to be skirting to our north and eventually draw a frontal system, and that frontal system will then develop in southward. We'll be watching a ridge of higher pressure building across this entire area as well. And though we have some thunderstorm threats later in the week, it's fairly limited right now in terms of quantitative precipitation. We're looking at this through 7 days here by the Water Prediction Center. This will be valid through 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. And you can see in Vermont, we're not looking at very much in the way of precip, really under 0.25 of an inch according to the Water Prediction Center 7-day accumulated precip. And looking at the latest surface map forecast models, this would be valid 2 o'clock this afternoon on Saturday, and high pressure, though weak, is going to be at guard. And you can see the little bit of precipitation. We're talking about minutia. However, it does barely make it into the area, it looks like, during Saturday night. And then it falls apart, and then it's going to be back, it looks like, with that kind of leftovers of an old frontal system hanging very close to the Vermont-Quebec border. As we get into, looks like Sunday night and into Monday, a little bit of a frontal system is going to try to come on through, and then it washes out. It could give us a little bit of an uptick in some isolated shower and thunderstorm activity on Monday afternoon. Then after that, looks like we dry out. High pressure becomes reinforced. No real issues there. Actually some pretty good project weather setting up on Tuesday. And by the time we get into Wednesday, we got some issues, as we'll start to see some increasing amounts of moisture. It's also going to be relatively warm at this point. And then as we get into Thursday night, mostly, you can see some sort of a flare-up here of showers and thunderstorms. I'm not trusting the computer modeling right now at this point. I think it's going to be a little bit more widespread in aerial coverage later this week, but it does look like things are looking pretty scanty. Right now, thunderstorms look very benign, what will develop, and as we head into next weekend, looks like the possibility of a few isolated flare-ups, but nothing real major at this point. And taking a look at water vapor, the lighter greens here, higher precipitable water is what we're really looking at here. And you can see that it's kind of marginal with the sort of splotches of blues in there. So we're looking at marginally moist conditions. And then you might notice this is a cold front here. This is going to be shoving a Canadian air mass through Quebec. And we just get basically grays. Now that will be happening along about Monday night, Tuesday. That's going to help trigger those storms Monday night, but again, very scanty. However, we are looking at increasing amounts of moisture with high precipitable water beginning to work into the region, and that takes place as we get into Thursday and Friday. It does look like we'll see some higher amounts of moisture in the area, but not as intense as we've seen many times this summer. So it would appear that we're into another warm spell here. You can see the warmest temperatures are actually further to the north, but we're looking at 9-degree max temperature anomalies across the state. And then 3 days later, You can see where we are then, 12 to 15 degrees above normal, and we'll get to the European model here and show you the latest. A cool down out west typically means a ridge of higher pressure somewhere over the center of the nation, over the east coast. Looks like this being centered here, more or less up and down in this axis, might allow for some backdoor cold fronts to begin to come shoot across parts of Maine and perhaps give us a little bit of relief from time to time, but not indicated here during this 3 to 7 day outlook. These are temperature anomalies, so you can see where we are right now. This is valid tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow afternoon, a little bit of a heat up here. We're talking about in the Connecticut and Champlain Valleys, temperature anomalies about 10 to 12 degrees above norm. Now, as we get into, you can see just a little bit of a cool down to the north across parts of Quebec, especially right here. A little bit of a cooling trend here. This would be valid Tuesday afternoon. And then once that goes on by, we're going to undergo some pretty good rapid heating. You note here, these are temperatures up around 25, almost 30 degrees above normal west of James Bay. And this is going to be sort of arcing in. That's where that area of higher pressure is. And you can see we stay pretty warm here. One of the warmest days, I think, is going to be on Wednesday and into Wednesday evening. You can see this temperatures here running about a good 20 degrees above normal. That would include parts of the Champlain Valley. So as we get into the late part of the week, we're getting close. Friday here. Here's Friday afternoon. You can see it's very, very warm to hot across parts of Canada. And this tries to make it down, but you notice this backdoor cold front here. This is way out toward really the end of next week, and you can see maybe perhaps a little bit of relief there. We'll see how this evolves. I believe the temperatures currently are underperforming what we're probably going to see, which is more or less by the time we get into really Wednesday and beyond, you're looking at temperatures more than likely 85 to 90 across some of our warmer valleys, and probably around 85 degrees elsewhere. And dew point temperatures show that it's moderately humid or a lower humidity. We get close to 60 degrees. That's fuel for thunderstorms, of course, as we get into Monday afternoon. Then we warm up a little, couple nuances here, and then another warm up as we get into the later part of the week, especially Wednesday and beyond. I would not hold on to this at this point. I think it's going to stay warm and humid going into next weekend, and probably dew points anywhere from 60 to 65 generally. Let's turn our attention to the tropics. We have one wave of low pressure that's just now in the process of working off Africa. Second wave in between, nothing to worry about, no formation to be expected. Then we have the remains of Erica, the remnants here, which is going to be tracking along the north coast of Cuba, and then latest modeling does take it into either landfall either on the Florida Peninsula along the west coast or more into the Gulf Coast. From there, probably some of its moisture could be peeled off and working to its northeast, but well south of our region. And this is Erica currently this early Saturday afternoon. It's very disorganized, and it's technically centered around here. And it's being sheared with a lot of its thunderstorm activity on its backside, so it's not symmetrical. But we'll have to watch it. Here is the latest storm track. So the National Hurricane Center also follows this fairly closely, and this looks like it just could go just about anywhere here, but no threat for the northeast United States. And to recap, a quick look at the GFS, relatively benign conditions to be expected. A little bit of an uptick. This is the GFS ensemble, again located, plotted on Burlington. We're looking pretty good at this point in time, but we're going to have to watch some thunderstorm threats down the road a piece and a warm-up. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.